If you've been even slightly tuned into what's trending musically over the past few months, especially if you spend any time scrolling TikTok, then there's a pretty high chance you've come across the name Benson Boone. His music has been literally everywhere lately. But now, as his name continues to pop up on the charts and across For You pages, it's not just for his songs. A lot of people are now starting to talk about Benson himself, and not all of it is positive. In fact, some of the conversations happening right now about him are pretty intense. People are beginning to question his authenticity, his image, his vibe, and honestly, just his entire artistic identity. So today, we're going to dive into this whole situation. We're going to unpack the drama, sift through the opinions, and explore why Benson Boone, who was once getting endless love online, is suddenly becoming the target of criticism, jokes, and confusion. From his fashion choices to his background in religion, to how he presents himself both on and off the stage, there's a lot being said. And it's not just casual conversation anymore, there's a real shift happening in how people are perceiving him. So let's get into it. Now, if you've been using TikTok at all over the last year or two, you've probably heard Beautiful Things. That track absolutely took off. It didn't just go viral, it crossed over into mainstream radio. It dominated playlists. And it became one of those songs that people either couldn't stop singing or couldn't get out of their heads. It was everywhere. And off the success of that song, Benson Boone's profile skyrocketed. He became one of those breakout stars who seemed to come out of nowhere but actually didn't. He's been building toward this for a while. Recently, he's been teasing his second album and pushing a brand new single titled Mystical Magical. And this is where things are starting to get a little weird. Because while fans of his earlier music were once obsessed, something seems to have changed, especially on TikTok. People on the app have started to turn on him, not just in passing comments, but full-on critiques. And for what exactly? Well, that's the million-dollar question. Why are people suddenly accusing Benson Boone of being disingenuous? Why are folks online saying he's trying too hard to be something he's not? And in some cases, they're even admitting that they don't exactly know why they dislike him. They just do. That kind of criticism, it's vague, it's subjective, but it's also gaining traction. Let's rewind for a second. Benson is 22 years old. He first popped into the public eye in 2021 when he appeared very briefly on American Idol. But he didn't stay long. He made the personal decision to leave the show early on, feeling that the format was too limiting creatively. He didn't want to be boxed in or forever labeled as just that guy who was on American Idol. He wanted more artistic freedom, and in hindsight, it was probably the best decision he could have made. Because now, most people who love his music don't even realize he was ever on that show. He's carved out his own path outside of the reality TV machine. But as Benson's music has become more mainstream and polished, particularly after the overwhelming success of Beautiful Things, something shifted in the public's perception. People started to scrutinize everything about him, not just the music, but the way he presents himself, his image, his stage performances, his outfits, his emotional tone. And a lot of the backlash he is getting now is rooted in this idea that he is forcing it. That he is leaning too hard into this persona of being deep, emotional, and ultra-relatable. To some, it just doesn't feel real. Many critics have gone so far as to say that Benson Boone comes across as, well, manufactured. Like an industry plant. As if the emotions he's trying to convey have been run through a commercial filter. Some feel that the emotional rawness he is aiming for is being drowned out by the polish and production of it all. That instead of something organic, it feels carefully curated to the point of artificiality. And then there's the stage stuff. Benson has made acrobatics literally part of his act. Backflips on stage, dramatic lighting, and very colorful, standout outfits. Onesies, bold patterns, things that definitely catch the eye. But again, for some people, it's all coming off as too much. It feels like he's trying to be the next Harry Styles, but missing the mark instead of channeling that same effortless, artsy cool vibe. It just feels a little forced. And fans are noticing that the way he dresses and acts on stage doesn't quite match who he seems to be off stage, which has led to this narrative that Benson is putting on a persona when he is performing one that doesn't align with his actual personality or lifestyle. And let me tell you, people are breaking this down in incredible detail. There's one comment that really stood out, where someone basically said, "I can tell this isn't the real Benson Boone, because the vibe isn't present in his space." They talked about how his home looks super generic like urban core, with nothing that reflects personal style or artistic flair. Not a quirky object from a grandparent, not a bold painting, not a splash of unexpected color. It's all very safe, very bland. And so, to that person, it feels jarring to hear Benson talk about artistic expression and being emotionally raw, when there is no visual sign of that in his real life. And honestly, that kind of criticism cuts deeper than just "I don't like his music." Because it's not just about the songs anymore, it's about believability. If you want to be seen as a deeply expressive artist, people expect to see some of that energy reflected in how you live and carry yourself. And right now, people are having a hard time connecting those dots with Benson Boone. But that's not where the conversation ends. There's also been talk, surprisingly, about his religious background. A few people online dug into his past and discovered that Benson grew up Mormon. And from there, a whole other layer of commentary emerged. People began saying that his songs feel Mormon-coded, or you can hear the Mormonism in the lyrics, with one person even saying, "It all makes sense now." Others took it further, saying things like, "How about no more men in pop music?" Or his music feels like depression with a dose of Mormonism. Now, let's take a second here. Religion is a deeply personal thing. But when you're in the public eye, especially as an artist, people start to pull apart everything about you, background included. Benson did speak on this a while back in an interview with Rolling Stone. He shared that he was raised in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and came from a devout family. His mom even gave a quote in a local newspaper years ago, saying, "To me, there is nothing more important than strengthening my family and serving other people. That's what brings joy." But Benson has since clarified his own position. He said that while faith has shaped a lot of his life, he no longer identifies with a single religion. "I have my own opinions now," he said. "Some are from this religion, some are from that religion, and some are from no religion at all." He also opened up about the confusion and frustration he felt growing up in church environments, where others claimed to have these intense spiritual experiences and he didn't. For a long time, he felt left out, like something was wrong with him. Eventually, he confessed these feelings to a friend, only to hear, "Thank goodness I feel the same way." That moment was a breakthrough for him. Still, despite all that honesty, people continue to use his religious upbringing as a way to explain or critique his artistic style. And some of it has crossed the line into mockery. Like that video on TikTok where someone said, "Benson Boone doing a backflip is so Mormon-coded." What does that even mean? Why is that okay? Religion shouldn't be a punchline. And to be honest, some of the stuff being said is just mean-spirited and unnecessary. There are also voices rising in defense of Benson. People who don't even consider themselves fans of his music have spoken out, saying the backlash feels totally disproportionate. One person said, "I've only heard that Moon Be My Scream song, and I don't even follow him. But the hate I've seen is absolutely unhinged." And that's true. Some of the comments are just wild. People on TikTok can be brutal. And let us be real, half the people making fun of him probably don't have a fraction of the confidence, self-awareness, or talent that Benson does. So unless you're out here doing backflips and hitting chart-topping vocals, maybe sit down. Now, Benson did respond to some of this backlash. In a TikTok, he addressed the comments and criticism directly. He said, "If you hate me or my music, at least have a good reason." I read a comment that said, "I don't know why I hate Benson Boone, but it feels right." And he was like, what am I supposed to do with that? How am I supposed to grow from that kind of vague, baseless feedback? He was basically asking people to be real. Like, if you don't like his music, at least say something specific. He flips too much, or I only like one song, and that's it. That's valid. That's useful. But I just hate him because it feels right. That's not helping anyone. Still, even that response sparked more debate. Some people clapped back, saying, "You don't get to demand feedback when people just aren't vibing with your energy." One person said they used to be neutral about Benson Boone. They didn't love his music, didn't hate it either. But then they saw that TikTok he posted in it just felt disconnected. They said, grow from what? Public indifference? People hate for no reason all the time on social media. It's part of the game. And yeah, that might be harsh, but it reflects a broader truth about fame in the digital age. You can be the nicest, most genuine artist in the world, and people will still find something to hate. The real challenge is learning to filter out the noise and only listening to the feedback that's actually constructive. At the end of the day, this whole situation might just come down to connection or a lack of connection. A lot of people feel like they don't really know who Benson Boone is. They don't feel like they understand him. He feels like a brand, like a product, like a company putting out vibes instead of a person sharing music. And that makes it harder for people to connect. Someone even compared him to JoJo Siwa. And honestly, the comparison kind of works. JoJo has this over-the-top stage presence, bright colors, wild costumes, high energy. But then off stage, she's a normal person. And it's that normal side that fans tend to love most. The raw, unfiltered version. And maybe that's the missing link with Benson Boone. So is all the hate justified? No. A lot of it is excessive, overblown, and, let's be honest, a little petty. But the reasons behind why some people are pulling away from him, those might be worth paying attention to. So now, I'm curious. Have you guys been listening to Mystical Magical? Are you a fan of Benson Boone? Do you get the backlash or not at all? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I seriously want to know what you think. I love you all so much, and I'll catch you in the next video. Bye, guys.